All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to have the AI call leads as soon as they come into the CRM, as well as start any other campaigns you'd like to have the AI follow up with past leads that you have, or whenever you upload a list to call the correct number of leads each and every day as you determine. And so to do that, we're going to go ahead and go over to the automation tab. And all that's required is that we set up one very simple automation in order to have that configured and automated for the rest of the campaign. So to do that, you'll go ahead and click Create Workflow and start from scratch. Once it loads, you can go ahead and name this whatever you want, such as Begin AI Calls. And then from there, there's only two things we need to do. One, we need to add a new trigger, which will define when this workflow should fire. And then two, we need to add an action item. And we'll just add that right now. We need to add an action item to add a new tag to that lead or to that contact. And so for that, you need to add the AI call list tag. You might already have it. And if you don't, just click add new tag and then it'll appear. And then you can add it here to the action. You'll go ahead and save that action. And then the last thing we need to do is add a trigger, which will determine when this workflow triggers. Now, just to give you a little background on what this tag does is whenever the AI call list tag is added to a contact, the AI will automatically call that lead immediately. If they don't answer, it'll go through the follow-up cadence as pre-configured, but that's how you add it to that call list for the follow-ups and everything to occur. But by default, the AI calls immediately unless it's outside of the allowed hours. And at that point, it's going to wait until the allowed hours and then call as soon as it can. And then it'll follow up from there based on whatever configuration is set up. And so in order to have, for example, new leads called immediately, what you'd want to do is set up a trigger to have those new leads added to this workflow. Now, for example, some people are doing Facebook marketing, and so you could have that actually be the trigger. As soon as a lead comes in through Facebook, you could set this trigger up, and those new leads would be called immediately since this tag will be added. Alternatively, you might have an API that's plugged into your CRM and you're getting leads from a lead vendor. And in that case, you might want it to be just contact created. Anytime a new contact is created, you want that tag to be added. Or perhaps you don't want all leads to be called as soon as it comes to the CRM, but only leads that have a certain tag added to them. For example, some lead vendors will automatically add tags based on whatever lead source it is. And so you could have that be whenever a certain tag is added. Let's say this lead is a Medicare lead and you have Medicare as the tag, for example, is added to a lead before it comes in. You could have that be the trigger. And whenever that tag is added, boom, it'll be added to the AI call list via the tag. And so that's it in a nutshell. You can make this trigger whatever you want, but that's how you ensure that leads are called immediately for any new leads. Okay. Then last, you'll just want to publish that and save it. All right. Now that that's taken care of, we're going to go ahead and create one more workflow for leads that are old or that you're uploading and you just want a certain amount called or added to the call list per day. So technically you can actually do this without creating another workflow, but just for simplicity's sake, we're going to start here and show you how to set this up in a workflow version. So to do this, we're going to start by having a drip action set up, which will allow only a select number of contacts through this action item per day. So let's say, for example, you wanted 100 new contacts called per day. You're going to save that action and then add that same tag to the workflow. And then last, you're going to want to add a new trigger, or as an alternative, let me show you how you can set this up. Let's just put this as old leads added to that call list, save it. Now, the reason we don't necessarily need a trigger is because there's a few ways you can add leads to this workflow. So if you had a bunch of old leads, you come over here to contacts. And right now, this will just have some example contacts, but you could select them and then click this little play button, which is what adds it to an automation. And then from there, you would select that workflow you just created. And we could name this add old leads to call list. And you can send it all at once since we're already handling the drip process within that workflow. However, if you didn't want to create an additional workflow, you just want to keep it to one, You could still technically add it to the begin AI calls list, but you can send it in drip mode. And in that case, you can select the batch quantity here and say, 100 new contacts every 1 day. From there, all you do is just click add to automation, and then boom, those leads would then be added to those workflows and the AI would call them as specified. So that's it. That's all you got to do.